Now, although we've seen all of the Solid Mix series compressors and EQs in action, and I've shown you them at work in the mix, there is some features that I've not shown you so far. Now, maybe you've heard of sidechaining and parallel compression. These are two really useful techniques that we can use in mixing to make our sounds sound more powerful, and also to allow things to breathe in the mix and really come through to the forefront without turning them up too loud. So let's take a look at what I mean by both of these techniques and how we can achieve them with all of the processes we're going to look at in Guitar Rig, to be honest with you. If we press this little arrow here, in most plugins, you're going to see some extra controls. For instance, we've got an input boost. So if you're finding that, you want to make the EQ. So if you're finding that the compressor is maybe running a little low on input and you want to make it run a little hotter, you can add 10 dB automatically by hitting this. You can also access your presets from here. And we're going to be looking at saving and loading presets in a couple of videos' time. And also there's a sidechain, a dry and a wet control, and a link left and right. The link left and right you really want to leave on as default if you're working with stereo sounds, as it'll work on both the left and right sides automatically. The dry and the wet mix is really useful, and this is where we can apply our parallel compression. I mean, essentially, and let's just work on this guitar group that I've made here. I can dial in a lot of compression here. Let's boost the input there. Now, if you find that's too much, we can mix some of our dry signal back in and the wet down a little bit. So there, we've got a healthy mix of the original dry signal and the compressed wet signal. And this can work really well on drums, on vocals. It just means that you're able to control some of the dynamics, bring some of the original dynamics back into the sound, and still have that sound of a really compressed squash sound at the same time. And that essentially is the essence of parallel compression. It's allowing you to have that affected compressed sound with your original dynamic untreated sound, if you like. Now, if you want to use sidechaining, and sidechaining is also called ducking, it's where we use a signal to trigger the compressor. It's easily achievable in these compressors here. Now, in Logic, and this is going to differ, let me just turn that off a second. This is going to differ in different DAWs, but in Logic, we go to sidechain up here in the right-hand corner, and we choose an input. So I'm going to choose, let's say, the kick drum. And in fact, I'm going to bring the compression right back up to wet again, to 0 dB. And if we have sidechain engaged, the kick is now triggering the gain reduction. And you can see that it's in time with the kick drum. Now, if I bring the kick drum in, you'll be able to hear this in action. And this is great. You can use it for vocals. You can use it for two guitar parts that are maybe clashing. So if you've got a rhythm guitar that's being strummed pretty loudly, and you've got a lead guitar that comes in, you can duck the rhythm guitar in time with the lead. And if you've got a backing vocal that needs to be, pushed into the background, and you need the lead vocal right at the forefront of the mix, you can use it with vocals. You can literally use it with any two sounds that you like, any source and any destination. And you can use this with any compressor. Here's the bus compressor. Let's fold the bottom down. You've got very similar controls, and there's our sidechain. So you can access the sidechain on any compressor as long as you've got this sidechain activated. In Cubase, in Pro Tools, it's going to be very slightly different, but as long as you feed that sidechain into Guitar Rig, you're going to be able to get this effect. So there you go. There's parallel compression and sidechaining just with one simple little panel there. And it's very, very straightforward, and you can use this in every processor we're going to look at. But for now, I'm going to move on and show you how we can use a solid bus compressor in mastering.